The second part is people should understand by now that should be crystal clear. Israel is the single greatest strength America has. Baker Commission filed its report saying peace in Israel is related
This
to
is
Iraq.
after
I was the first
9/11.
and only person in the Congress to point out, if tomorrow peace broke out in between Israelis and Palestinians, does anybody think there wouldn't be a full-blown war in Iraq? And conversely, if Iraq were transported to Mars, does anyone think there would not be the terrorism visited upon the Israelis every day? The difference between now and before 9/11, many Americans can taste what it must feel like for every Israeli mother and father when they send their kid out to school with their lunch to put them on a bus, on a bicycle, or to walk them. And they pray to God that cell phone doesn't ring. Every day. Every day.
Every day.
And so let's get it straight. Israel is not the cause of Iraq. Iraq being settled or not settled has nothing to do with Israel's conduct. And the second part is people should understand by now that should be crystal clear that Israel is the single greatest strength America has. At least, I always say to my friends when I say those things to you, I say, imagine our circumstance in the world. Were there no Israel? How many battleships would there be? How many troops would be stationed? So I find it
He is behind
not
this.
only incorrect, but sometimes mildly insulting.
Now Dr. Sulaiman video watched and very informative.
What is taking place with our brothers and sisters right now in Gaza, it is Khandaq. It actually is Khandaq. Because it is a time where a tactic was used to specifically starve off Medina, cut all supplies to them. To where even the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him himself, walks around malnourished. Imagine, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ walking around, he had stones tied to his stomach and he was bloated. Not the bloating after eating, the bloating of starvation. And it was 10,000 on the other side. 10,000 people that surrounded Medina from every direction. And they built this thin trench, only about 3 miles long. And between them and a massacre is this trench. And they are guarding every single point of that trench. They have to utilize every resource. You can't blink an eye. They were under siege for an entire month. Khandaq was a month. And the Meccans cut every single element of food and drink from reaching them in Medina. And so their food was running out. Their water was running out. And they couldn't take breaks. The lack of sleep was getting to them. And as they are guarding every single form of that trench, they also come to know that there are enemies from within, that there are those that are plotting to attack them from behind. Imagine the ru'b, imagine the fear that could penetrate you in those moments. I want you to picture yourself at that trench, and every few minutes there is an attempt on that trench. And you're guarding. Don't blink an eye. Don't go use the bathroom. You might mess up. Make sure that you don't miss. Make sure that you don't flinch.
Don't flinch.
And at that point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna nasa, that verily the people, الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسِ, the people, the naysayers, the hypocrites said to them, Inna nasa qad jama'u lakum. Man, you guys are done. Look at you. Few desperate people at a trench. Your leader, the Prophet ﷺ, his stomach is poking out and bloated. Look at you. Inna nasa qad jama'u lakum. Look at all those people. You think you're going to survive this? فَخْشَوْهُمْ. Be afraid. You have no chance. All of the Arabs are gathering against you. And you're alone. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Allah did not send them angels that time that they could look at visibly and see divine aid in front of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that increased them in faith. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. That actually increased their faith. They were at a point in their spiritual maturity where when people said, look at all the people against you, it increased their faith. وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Said, you know what? Allah is enough for us. And He is the best of protectors.
Very
We've
nice.
been
Subhanallah.
with Allah long enough to know that Allah has not forsaken us. We are not afraid of the number on the other side. We are not afraid of the artillery. We're not afraid of the odds. There is nothing that you can say to shake us because we're a people of faith. We believe. We're not alone. We don't need to see 10,000 angels come down this time. We know وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ, that victory and help comes from Allah, that divine aid is on its way. Dear brothers and sisters, the people of Gaza are facing a genocide. It is a genocide that we have not seen the likes of for a very long time.
That's true.
And it is unfolding before the world's eyes. And the propagandists are doing everything they possibly can to hide the eyes of the American public, to hide the eyes of other people from that genocide, to justify it, to pollute. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, لا يضرهم من خذلهم. These are people that are not hurt by those who betray them. Because they have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Subhanallah.
Now here's the thing. We can be inspired, as we should be, when we look at the people in Gaza and we look at the people of Palestine who have shown time and time again that the odds don't matter. The odds don't matter. But let's bring it back to us. Dear brothers and sisters, you are not behind the trench. You're not being starved.
You're not being stopped.
You're not having the water taken away from you. You don't have bombs dropping on you. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
We have not been tested the way they've been tested. Different people are tested in different ways. Now there are people that will continue to die in this entire
Astaghfirullah.
process. And as they die in this process, guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about Ashab al-Ukhdud, the people of the trench, not the people of Khandaq, that trench with the Prophet ﷺ, the people that were thrown into a trench and killed, ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْكَبِيرُ, that they have succeeded. They attained success. They have held on to their covenant with Allah. They are now in paradise. Our dead are in paradise. We have no doubt about it. Every single one of our dead, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, died on La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah,
is in the
that
heaven.
suffered in that cruelty and oppression, they're in paradise. Their victory has been attained.